Then I open it up to talking now about the facts of what you want your funeral to look like. So, Mom, question, cremation or casket?
Welcome to Seriously Catherine, a self-confidence podcast for women who want to be taken seriously in the world of business. Here's your guest host, Brittany DeMarco Furman.
Well, welcome back to the Seriously Catherine podcast with my takeover from The Undertaker. I'm getting really good at that, actually. Buried in conversation with Brittany DeMarco Furman. I've been having so much fun the last 2 weeks with you, and all the feedback's been great. So let's continue spilling the tea and uncovering the unknown of the death industry. Today's guest, I am so excited about, and I'm very comfortable around. I mean, I should be. The people I've known since birth. It's my mom and sister, Donna and Taylor. So what I can say about my parents is we are a family full of love, but also chaos. So we are going to go 6 feet down in conversation with my mom and sister, focusing on my mom, because we're going to practice what we preach as a funeral family. We are going to pre-plan my mom's funeral live here in studio, and I'll have this as a record of what my mom said so I can look back on, and when I have to fill in those important details for an obituary, the death certificate, and how to celebrate her life in the way future manifesting, I will have this forever. Strap up, because you're in a ride with a crazy family. It's the DeMarco family. In my car right now, I have duct tape, Febreze, a flashlight, gloves, work boots. I'm not a serial killer. But later in today's episode, I will give you a serious business lesson on what is in my car and why it makes me the way I am today. But first, a hot take brought to you by Paint and Sip, Ingrid Andress. I don't even know if that's how you say her name because I never knew her until recently. First off, the national anthem is not an easy song to sing. My mom, she forced me, because I was being a bad girl, to sing it in front of my entire school at the high school football game to show me that I better listen to her. But I think I sang it better than this 4-time Grammy-nominated artist. That was the worst thing I've ever heard. But also, it's the laugh I kind of needed. This time, our country needed something strong for our nation, so maybe it wasn't the best timing, but say if we listened to that at any other time besides after a president nominee almost being assassinated, I think it would be a little bit funnier. I did find some humor in hearing how bad it was, but also it was just not appropriate for the time in our nation. Whew, I would not want to be her right now, let's just say that. But I do feel bad for her. She looks really young. I didn't do too much digging deep into her age or anything, but I could totally tell this is going to ruin her career, or she's going to be the joke of everything until she dies. I know there's some people, Fergie, who did her rendition that was a little too sexy and weird at the NBA champion game a few years back. But also my dad brought up 1990 Roseanne. Have you guys ever seen that? That was disrespectful because she's a comedian. She got up there. I knew that she was just like trying to make everybody laugh. That was cringe. This was cringe where like you just like kind of like as a mom, like I feel so, if her mom was watching that, I'm sure she just wanted to like probably like take her off the field. She did put out there that she was drunk and she's going to seek help. So I hope she finds the help she needs. I know that everybody has a bad moment, and I know that news catches up with people and people will forget it. But unfortunately, that was a performance I will never forget. Ingrid, I didn't know you before, honey, but you will be with me forever. So you're going to be a pun of a lot of jokes, honey. God bless you, and I wish you well. Let's do like a cheers before here. Cheers in true DeMarco Girls fashion.
Cheers. Salud.
Well, look at us three here. I am so excited to introduce these next two beautiful guests because they're my family. This beautiful lady in the polka dots is my mom, Donna DeMarco. And this beautiful, kind of looking like J-Lo today, Taylor, is my sister. And no, we're not twins. We're 13 months apart because my mom kicked me out of the crib, and I'll never forgive her for that. Well, we're here today to talk about you, Mom. We're going to talk about your life. And why we're going to talk about you in general is because we are going to prepare your funeral today. As the wife of a funeral director, being around this business for so long, Taylor and I growing up in this business, we have to practice what we preach. We tell people how important it is to pre-plan their funeral, to have those hard conversations. So instead of when somebody passes away, there is 101 questions that are thrown right out at you. People can't grieve correctly. They can't remember these sweet things about their loved ones because they're too busy answering questions that are for legal reasoning, what the funeral director needs for the death certificate, what they need for an obituary. I don't know about you, but writing an entire life story within 24 hours, that is daunting. Even when our grandmother passed away, there's 7 children, which we'll talk about later, 12 grandchildren. Everybody has a little bit of insight and it gets a little crazy. It's like, what do you say? And did we say enough? Did we miss somebody? I guess that's how we'll introduce today's episodes. It is prepare your hearts. We're going to practice what we preach as a funeral family, and we're going to interview our mom. We're going to talk about life, things that we can get down for your obituary, things that Taylor and I will continue for you and remember you as, but also kind of laugh and have these conversations that we can break the ice for other families to be inspired to do so themselves. Okay, so I'm being bad with math in my head. Taylor, what year was Mom born?
1962.
Correct. Okay.
8/23/1962. She was born in Michigan on the military base.
She is a military brat. And we actually just went to your family home in Plattsburgh. Where our dear Mimi that we talked about on the podcast previously a few times, she would go down in the cellar and hide from her 7 kids.
She did. There were 7 of us. We lived right in a beautiful brownstone on Lake Champlain. I have other 6 siblings. Every time we would get mad, my mom would leave. And she would go down into one of those hurricane shelters underneath the brownstone.
Oh, my gosh. I could see her.
I could picture it now.
And then when we were there for Memorial Day, we were heading towards Montreal, and I told my son-in-law, I'm going to show you my home where I grew up. Well, I was there until I was in kindergarten to 5th grade. And then I was showing him, the basement, and then my granddaughter was there, so it was really nice to show them where I came from. It was different. It was sad to see the base closed. Trying to go through some of my father's patches and things that he had because they want us to send it to the museum. And so we're working on that.
Where were you actually born?
I was born in Oscoda, Michigan.
Give me a map. I would not know where that is, but...
My father traveled Okinawa, Vietnam, but he had 2 of my siblings in Missouri. They had me in Oscoda, and then the rest were in Plattsburgh. We really didn't travel with my father. When my father was overseas or pulling alert, he would come home, and my mother would be pregnant. So, 6 other siblings coming from a large family. We are a close-knit family still.
Okay, so you were born in Missouri, and Mimi just kept
Michigan.
Oh, yes. Michigan. The 2 other kids were born. See, this is what we need, because I honestly would have said Missouri. So 7 kids, and Plattsburgh, you tell us about those memories, and really that was your biggest time as a military family before going to Schenectady.
Correct. And he was deployed there during the Cuban crisis, and when we were at war, we had to go down into the basement. They would take us out from school. There would be all barbed wire around the base.
Yeah, I think you told me about how at school you would have to do the drills and hide underneath the tables.
Hide underneath the desk.
Until you were, I think you said grade school. That's how long you were in Plattsburgh. During those early years, before teenage years, what's something that stands out about you during that time?
Oh, I just love going to school.
You did love going to school.
Yeah, I love being protected in the military. And that's what made it difficult when I had to go to a public school here in Schenectady. I wasn't used to having 25 kids in the classroom. My mom and dad put us into a Catholic school.
Yeah, and what Catholic school did you go to?
I went to St. Mary's in Schenectady.
So how Schenectady changed. So this is the 70s in Schenectady?
Correct.
Growing up, and you lived, for security reasons, I don't know if it's your passcode, so we won't tell the road that you grew up on, but you were Schenectady, Goose Hill.
I lived on the Polish Hill.
The Polish Hill,
yes,
okay.
Yes, I
so
lived
around a lot of Polish families.
Exactly.
So one of 7 kids, you are now, and you are in your middle school, high school years. What was it like being a kid of 7 children?
Crowded. Very crowded. One bathroom, three bedrooms, and my one sister had to go move in the basement, and it was very crowded. So I knew early that I had to go ahead and find my own place soon. I was in high school, and at my senior year, I dropped out because I had to find a job because I had to get out. I had to get on my own and take care of myself. So unfortunately, I dropped out of high school. At that time, I was still working. Well, needless to say, I would skip school and go to work until my mother found out. And that's when I made my decision that it was either to drop out of school and get a full-time job. So that's what I did. Yes, I was working at a hot dog place. I was 17, but I was working when I was 15, 16 years old.
Okay.
I got my own apartment, just continued working 2-3 jobs. I had my own apartment since I've been 18 years old.
So there's still some men like around your age, even a little older than you, that come up to me and they remember you.
Oh, yeah.
And they remember that tall, beautiful brunette, because you were a brunette back then.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the family, because growing up in Schenectady, if we said your maiden name Liquorette. So for anybody listening in, some questions that we got already is where my mom was born. We talked about your education level. You didn't drop out. You got your GED.
I did. I went back. Went back and I got my GED.
Your siblings' names and how many you had. And then also your maiden name, Liquorette. So let's talk about the Liquorette clan growing up in Schenectady, because many people know me as DeMarco, but when I dropped the name Liquorette, I already got street cred.
My brother owned Geppetto's restaurant right across the street from Union College. Mm-hmm. We had a very successful business there. And then I decided that I wanted to be self-employed and I wanted to own my own tanning salon. And I was the first tanning salon to open up in Schenectady.
I remember that news clipping.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, what a big.
It was called Golden Image, and it was right above Geppetto's. So I would go ahead and I would run the tanning salon, and then my mom would come in and help. So I can go downstairs and wait tables.
You are independent woman. You are bartending at Geppetto's part-time. You own the Golden Image upstairs at Geppetto's, the salon. How old are you at this time?
Probably around 19.
You're 19 years old.
19.
Taylor, what were we doing at 19? Like, we were working.
Not owning a tanning salon.
We're calling out an Olive Garden and Red Lobster.
I was a proud Red Lobster employee.
That was only 2 jobs. And then I decided to get into the insurance business.
Did you like to party? Like, you work hard, party hard?
Oh, sure. I mean, I would like bartend at Geppetto's, and then I would get out at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, and then I would have a cocktail, and then I would go to work at 8 o'clock the next morning.
Okay, so now, like, you're living your best life, having fun.
Dating, having the time, traveling.
Yeah. I know that there was a boy that you liked and you talked about, and I love how open you were about, like, when I used to cry when boys broke up with me, you would share your experience of, but it will get better. And I will just always remember coming into your room. You always gave the best cuddles, especially when after a breakup. And nothing felt stronger than being with you during those times. So for you to have a memory that I will give you, that was something that I'll never forget, and you sharing your own experiences. So
I had my taste of frogs until I found my prince.
Dad's a lot of things, but I don't think of Prince. But he's the best, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about him. But let's talk about the other part of what created Taylor and I.
That would be my husband, Michael.
Oh my gosh.
AKA Mickey. I was bartending, and he came into Geppetto's, and I was behind the bar, and he was playing on my brother's softball team. And then he goes to your uncle. Who's that girl behind the bar? Oh, that's just my sister. Yeah, that's Donna. At that time, I was dating a few guys, and I know that he asked me to go out.
At the same time, Donna?
Yeah, I was dating a few. He asked me out. He goes, "Can I take you out on Saturday night?" And I'm like, "Well, that's my birthday." I'm like, I'm turning 23 on the 23rd, and
your champagne
it's
birthday.
my champagne birthday. So he goes, "Well, I want to take you out. And I go, I already have some plans. Friends are going to meet me here. We're going to have some drinks and grab a bite to eat. So sure enough, he comes, he picks me up, and he goes to me, "Try to find a date for my friend." So I find my date, Annie. She was my partner at Golden Image.
Yeah.
So I found a date, and he brought his good friend, Tony. He comes to Geppetto's, and he picks me up in a limousine. And he comes into the bar, and there's all these people around me celebrating my birthday. And he goes, hands me a red rose.
Whoa.
And then he whisks me off my feet, and we go to a beautiful restaurant at the Desmond. Unfortunately, Tony and Ann did not hit it off. So they went their own separate ways. So your dad goes, come on, let's go back to my apartment. Let me go back. And I knew that he was a funeral director at that time.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Pause. You forgot to say that you met him at Golden Image.
At Golden Image.
You met him at Golden Image first.
Yeah, correct.
Because he was
a
bodybuilder and he had to come in tanning.
So I guess we have to put a little emphasis. Dad was a bodybuilder. He was Mr. New York. He was pretty legit. And can we make a little story about Dad real quick?
Sure.
With the bodybuilding, because he'd love this. He'd listen to this bit and just like eat it up. You remember in grade school, elementary school, when we were learning about the muscle system.
Oh.
And Dad loves showing people his bodybuilding photos.
Yeah.
Dad obviously doesn't look anything like it, and people think it's AI. So I remember I'm in 5th grade, so do the math. I'm bad at math. He has his muscles all out, and there's a front of him and a back of him. He labeled all the muscles. And
he did that.
And he sent it to school with me, and it became a part of the curriculum. Yes.
They still have it.
Okay, so that's an element of Dad, which I've talked about him in the podcast the last 2 episodes, so now people can hear this bit of him. You guys went on that first date. Let's just finish up the first date.
Okay, then he takes me home to his apartment, and he lives in a little raised ranch right across the street from DeMarco Stone Funeral Home.
Where we originated from.
Where we originated from. He was on call, and when you're a funeral director and you're on call, you get called out, you got to go. Yep, takes me to Scrimshaw's at 3-4 o'clock in the morning. He goes, I got to go to Ellis Hospital. I go, okay, how am I going to get home? How am I going to get home? There was no Ubers then. I went ahead. He goes, that's okay. I'll bring you home. And then he goes, but I have to drop you off in the hearse.
Goes to the date in a limousine and comes home in a hearse.
So he had to go to Ellis Hospital, and I lived like right around the corner from Ellis Hospital. I'm in the hearse, and all I'm doing as he's driving me home. Now, I'm telling you, it's 3-4 o'clock in the morning, and I keep looking in the back to see if there's a body back there.
So you were scared.
I'm flipping out. I'm like, what am I doing? So as he's pulling by the street of my house, my apartment, I go, why don't you just drop me off in the corner? I did not want anybody to see me get out of a hearse at 3 o'clock in the morning. That was my first date. And ever since then, I got rid of all my boyfriends, and it has been him since then.
And you were 23 years old.
23 on my 23rd. And then when we first started off at the Glenville Funeral Home, your dad was working both locations.
Okay.
And then, I would leave my job, and I would go there, and I would sit for hours and hours and hours waiting for the phone to ring, waiting for somebody to call.
So you were the secretary, because it wasn't like people could email you, or
no,
you had cell phones where you could leave the property.
No, we didn't have cell phones back then. We had we had beepers.
I want to rewind a little bit, because as we're going deep in conversation, I'm also getting questions I would need for your obituary in a way. Okay. So, and you and Dad dated for how long before you got married?
5 years.
Talk about who else is here today.
Right?
Mimi,
Louise, Liquorette.
So I was going to save this conversation when we talk about what we want to pass on to family, or some kind of creative way to memorialize a loved one. But what we uniquely did, because when our grandmother Mimi, Louise Liquorette, passed away, we all were heartbroken, because there would never be enough things for us to keep of her, to remember her. So it had to be these amazing items that we knew that were her. I had personally her clowns. You remember her scary clowns? I took a few other family members did. But there was other items that we separated throughout the family. One that we have here, who's going to keep her wedding dress? Because, that's a big trend right now, that people recreate wedding dresses from the generations before. Well, there's 12 grandchildren, and we all, in a way kind of wish that maybe we would have it, or, whoever did get it, why did they get it and it wasn't me? So what our aunt did, Aunt Jamie did the most magical memory. She had a professional seamstress cut up the dress and make unique pillows for each grandchild. So this is mine, and there's all these other ones
all various styles. Mine is just silky.
Hearts.
I know that Alex, she's our classy cousin. Hers is very classy. Mine's a little bit foofy. We all, this is what I think is so unique. You too, you have 2 daughters, but you love us differently but equally, and we never feel like when we fight, maybe
Sometimes.
we do. So
Oh,
she
yeah.
loves you more than me, but you truly
yeah.
do have your own bond with each of us.
Oh, yeah.
So I bring up Mimi because she did that with 12 grandchildren and 7 kids, and that was remarkable. So having these keepsakes are very important. I mean, we talked about marriage, and real quick, where'd you get married?
I got married at the Glenn Sanders Mansion. I was the first one that got married on the grounds. Back in the day, my father-in-law loved motorhomes. And
Stop, I'm going to cry.
so I got my entire bridal party to my event at the Glenn Sanders Mansion in the motorhome.
I remember that tradition my mom had. So for my wedding in Lake George, we used my dad's motorhome, and we traveled in the motorhome. And I think Taylor and I have watched your wedding video countless times. I think it's time. Did we make it into DVDs? So this is another thing to stop and remind our listeners,
Yes.
winter is coming, and that's a great time to clean out your closet
Make
and
those
turn
DVDs.
those
Make those
VHSs.
VHSs into
DVDs.
before they're not an opportunity
Or
anymore.
USB, because as funeral directors, we can put
smarter.
those images and videos into a memorial video that then can be streamed. So USB, get those files, save them, put them in the cloud, and then let's put it along with the obituary, because that's how it will live on. And I stream Mimi's video constantly, and Sandy's.
I had a couple hundred people there at the wedding.
It was a big wedding.
200 people, yep.
You looked gorgeous. Your tan was on fleek. But hi, I want to talk about us as kids. The best moment ever was June 7th, my birthday, right? Huh? Right?
June 7th, yes. Let me think here.
Oh, gosh, wait.
Actually, your due date was June 6th.
Okay.
And I probably put on a good 90 pounds. That was an excuse for me to eat. I'm pregnant. You were a hard delivery,
Oh, okay.
I was in labor with you about a good 12, 14 hours.
All right.
And all my mom would say, get outside and walk, get outside and walk, get outside and walk, get outside and walk.
So you remember all those.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
and then
crystal
I
clear.
think on the morning of June 7th, my water broke. And then you came late night.
I came at 1:14 p.m. That's the time you call me when I'm 1:17. I was an afternoon baby. You call me when it's my exact moment I'm born every year.
Yeah, no, my water
like
broke.
a true mom. This one kept you up in the middle of the night. She's the troublemaker.
This one, she was 2 weeks late. I had to go in
ouch.
and I had to induce labor. She about 6-7 hours, and your father was sleeping. They said, "Let me wake him up. Let's him wake him up so he can go ahead and at least cut the umbilical cord." And I think he was working.
Yeah, I mean, Dad was working tirelessly
24/7.
Yeah, I mean, that's the business.
24/7. Not was he trying to, he was working for DeMarco Stone, his father's place, but he's also was trying to get the Glenville Funeral Home started.
Yeah,
up and
so
running.
you started the business and you built your home. You had the babies, so now you have your little ranch house in the back, and you have the shell of what the funeral home was in the early 90s.
Yeah, I mean, he was in Rotterdam. I go, I don't want to live in Rotterdam. I don't want. If we have kids, I don't want them to go to Rotterdam School District. And since we lived in Glenville, I said,
Sorry, Rotterdam listeners.
I wanted to live close to our business in Glenville. And then we had the property, and then your papa goes, let's just build right here. Mm-hmm. Let's just build, behind the funeral home.
And it was such a little country
And back
town
then, it was
back
all
then.
farm country.
Was Kmart across the street when we got there?
Kmart was.
Oh my gosh! Well, yeah. What a time. The early 90s. So we're born. Quick question: who was the cuter baby?
Taylor. She was beautiful. Everybody says
I know this. Okay.
I mean, Brittany came in bald. She had stork bites and angel kisses, and with her eyes being so big, it looked like she was a turtle. I mean, Taylor was like my mother goes to my sisters when they were pregnant. You have to look at Taylor because she's beautiful. She's beautiful. You're gonna have a beautiful baby. You're gonna have a beautiful baby. I was only working part time. I was there for Glenville.
What would you consider your title on the death certificate? Because you've done so much. Because even when
actually, what I say I would be, I would just really put homemaker.
I mean, yeah, and that is the best. I call her entrepreneur.
I really don't know, because I know when I was working at Cool Insuring, I was in Latham, and I had all intentions of going back to work.
Yeah.
And then
they loved you there.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, they started me from answering the phones, and they sent me to school. They worked me up to claims analyst and all that stuff. And then I said to myself, I can't go back. I got to stay here.
Yeah,
So
Dad was getting busy.
we were getting busy. I had a new baby. I quit. I had to give back the money that they gave me for my maternity leave, which I think was which I think was fine.
Yeah.
You know,
you weren't coming back.
They had.
invested
I
in
had
you.
all intentions of going back to work, and I said, "There's no way." And that's when I became a homemaker. I still went into Geppetto's and I worked. I would drop you girls off at Mimi's house, and I would go wait tables.
So Dad was always very supportive, and you were growing a business. And, you guys started with, 2 calls the first year, and all these years later, we're doing 220 plus. So it's astonishing what you and Dad created.
Yep.
And something during this time, because we're growing up, you're working at the funeral home, you're growing with Dad, you're helping, obviously, your children grow up. Like, our memories are always of you because Dad was so busy, especially when we were young.
Well, don't forget, I did get a little nanny to help me out too.
Yeah, because you did go and work at the Socia Plaza.
I worked for Nationwide.
Yeah,
yes.
You did go back to work.
I did
I
go
remember you
back.
bringing us a few times. So
I did.
You were always everywhere.
So the 16-year-old dropout turned into quite the successor.
But
and
then,
you worked hard for that.
But
my
then,
gosh.
but
You
then,
worked hard for that. You didn't want to stop, did you?
No, but then when I turned 40, I said to myself, I want to go back to college.
I remember.
Yep.
To college.
Creative writing, right?
American history and creative writing.
Yep, and we would study together.
I felt like I wanted to go to college, and I just went to Schenectady County Community College, and I went there and took a couple courses. I loved it. Until the funeral director that we hired got deployed.
Yeah, this was during 9/11. I remember, and then unfortunately you had to give up on
I had to
that
give
dream.
up. I had to leave the dream. So I never was able to finish my college career.
Thank you for,
You're
you always
welcome.
living through your children, and I think that is the biggest takeaway from you. I know all moms, as mothers ourselves, like we would take a bullet for our kids, do anything for our kids, protect our kids. I didn't get to appreciate this element until we had kids. So I just want to let you know I'm so grateful. And I understand how much you love us. And everything that you did do for us was because you wanted to make sure we were the best possible human.
Dance mom, I am too.
Yes, let's talk about that. So we're growing up, and you have always been Donna mom, but Momma D. That's what I want to say. You have your alter ego. We were a girl gang in our energy, and you were like the core at it. Like, say that we're a cult, and you're our cult leader.
Hey, what can I say? I'm the life of the party.
You really are. So as a dance mom, tell me some of those memories that you have.
I loved it. I loved meeting the other moms. I loved going to competitions and traveling. I loved being a backstage mom. Just seeing you girls up there on stage just made me so happy. Dancing gave you girls many opportunities to travel the world. Been to Hawaii 3 times. I went once, and I was dance mom to travel all that way
For the Pro Bowl, yeah.
For the Pro Bowl, and and you were only 15 then, and I had to be your chaperone while your dad's out at the Pineapple Grove, and he's doing his thing. I had to be at the convention.
You're the dance mom.
And then when you were offered to go back 2 times, I'm like, I'm not going.
Yeah, you're like, you could go.
You guys go. And then your father took you. No, your father took you the second time. And then the
we
3rd
went
time,
by
I sent you by
ourselves.
yourself.
I also remember you would be the support, no matter in the crowd, like you were always there. Question, what's your favorite genre? What, like, if we were having your funeral, because this is what we're here to talk about, what do you want us to be listening to? What's your essence?
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Yeah.
Chicago. Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin.
What's the best concert you've ever been to?
Best concert. I really don't go to a whole lot of concerts. I didn't. I remember going to see Whitney.
Oh my God.
She didn't come on for 2 hours. You know what I mean? I'm not really a big concert person.
No, but you love music. You love to dance.
I
So
love to
we would
dance.
definitely know like 70s, 80s.
No, I love. I'm not really big into concerts.
Let's kind of we're gonna kind of talk a little bit more about life, but maybe we're gonna do a little pause now. We're gonna talk more about funeral. As a funeral director, when people come in, I want them to answer their questions that they have on their chest, pay my condolences, and just if they have anything they just want to talk about the whole situation because somebody just died, I save that time then. But then we get into the life story like we just did. We're just scratching the surface. You can never talk enough about life. we're here an hour in and we're talking about life on a podcast that I can have recorded forever to look back on. Not too many people have that opportunity. So when people come and meet with us, then we talk about the story of life because they never had an opportunity to do something like we just did now. Or the family doesn't know answers and they have to relay questions and facts to one another. Open conversation. And that's what I do in the pre-planning process. But then I open it up to talking now about the facts of what you want your funeral to look like. So, Mom, question. Cremation or casket?
Casket, and I want to be in an entombment.
So you want an entombment.
I want to go in a mausoleum. I don't want to be in the ground. I want people to come up and look at me and say hi to me. I don't want to be in the ground.
Is that like the icky gicky, like, the Italians are like, I don't want to get bugs in my casket?
No,
or is that like...
maybe because I'm claustrophobic.
Okay.
I don't know.
A casket in a mausoleum.
I don't know. I mean, hey.
Honestly, I just did a funeral last week where they had that tier B, perfect eye level. It's beautiful there.
Yeah.
They don't have to go trotting through the grass. It is a very also part of the Italian culture too, I know, is they like to have everything encompassed in the tomb. So
yeah. Well, I told your father to build me a mausoleum.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I want you to build a mausoleum just
because I've
for
had
me.
calls from St. Anthony Cemetery in Glenville. They're like, when are they going to put a deposit on this mausoleum?
Yeah, and this way, I would be your father and I, and then you can actually go in, and you can put a Christmas tree in there, or I don't know.
You don't even know what Dad said to me. You want to hear what Dad wants?
No. No, we don't.
He wants to have a mausoleum with flat screen TV in there so he can have people come and watch his NFL football games. So we'd have it on repeat, like the best of the best. So, or maybe he'll get a Wi-Fi thing and have the NFL.
Who's going to pay for the NFL?
But he also wants to put a ventilation system in there so people can smoke their cigars in his mausoleum.
Oh, so it's like a man cave. So you're going to be in a man cave mausoleum
That's
with
okay.
Dad?
I'm living in one right now with
Maybe
him.
we could put like a Prosecco on like a draft or whatever you call it. But oh my gosh.
Yep.
All right. So we know above ground, you are going to be in a casket, not cremated, not in an urn. Nope. So we know your final disposition. Mm-hmm. And obviously, we're not sending you to the National Cemetery. You're not in the military. Nope. We're going to keep you close to home on that beautiful hill right above the funeral home at St. Anthony Cemetery. Okay. All right. Well, we just knocked out a lot of questions there. You're going to be beautiful forever. And regardless, the talents that happen with morticians and funeral directors when it comes to the embalming and the makeup process. Are we allowed to have an open casket viewing of you?
Of course.
Okay. What are we putting you in, Mom?
Oh, boy. I don't know. Just make sure my hair is in a bun.
Your messy bun? That's actually a good question because you've had a few different hairstyles over the year. Are we doing the iconic messy bun of Donna DeMarco?
Yep. And then red lipstick.
Red lipstick? Okay. Chanel?
Chanel.
And we got to do eyelashes. Yep. Eyelashes have to be on. Your eyebrows have to be on point. Are we doing the bangs? Because I know the bangs have been a here and there thing.
It depends. I'm not dead yet.
Hey, guys, she's not going anywhere anytime soon, but we're not manifesting. But things happen. We just want to have everything out there, okay?
So, hey.
We're having the conversations that people don't want to have. So let's be brave enough to practice what we preach as funeral director family. Are you going to be buried with any jewelry?
No.
No. Yeah, it's going to be passed on.
Everything. I don't want.
I love that. But I think it should be passed on. Not just because this is what we want, but I encourage other families to think about that. Flowers. So you have a casket. Let's talk about the casket actually before the flowers because you need the aesthetic to go along with one another.
What kind of casket?
Yeah. Are you doing metal or wood?
I like wood.
You like wood?
I do.
You would want the real solid.
Yes.
Something that was cut from a tree. So we have that. And what kind of flowers are we having, Mom?
Probably anything but lilies. I don't like lilies.
I hate lilies, and it's the funeral flower.
It is, and because you
got to make that canceled.
You got to pick them up, and you get all the yellow all over you.
All over, and we're always wearing black. It's nasty, and it doesn't smell that good.
No, I think whatever. If it's gardenia season,
gardenias, we can get that shipped in from California, like we did with Mimi when she passed in February.
Gardenias.
Shout out to House and Florist.
Gardenias and roses. Not too many carnations.
No,
we're not doing any carnations.
Roses.
I don't do
Maybe some like orchid fairy, like elegant. What about colors?
Colors, geez. Let me think.
Because I know you like green ivy. Maybe the green could be
I like
flowing down.
Purples and pinks.
Yeah. Very modern though.
Yeah,
more of the blush, mute tones instead of those bright.
No reds, no yellows, no.
Okay, we got the vibe. Okay, so we're getting in more of aesthetic. We know about music to be played. It's gonna be more upbeat. Mm-hmm. Obviously, we're gonna have the memorial video going. We know the keepsakes we'd be having. Other things that we talk about with families would be something that's not so fun to talk about, but there's the options of vault and having grave liners, something that the funeral director will educate the people who are there so they see the transparency of what is needed and what's not needed for a funeral. But then we talked about prayer cards. Are we doing prayer cards that are religious, or are we going to do like the prayer cards that I will never forget last year? A family, you guys remember this, they had me create a design where the front of the card had a big stamp that said game over. Thanks for playing.
I probably wouldn't have anything religious. Maybe a glass of Prosecco and Afterglow in the back.
Oh, I kind of love that. You cheersing with Prosecco and then the Afterglow.
Yeah.
I like the memory of me to be a happy one. Okay, so let's talk about the services now. We are raised Roman Catholic. Yep. We are still practicing Roman Catholic, but we're also the modern family. We go to church on Christmas and Easter.
Yeah, I know. We're bad. I mean, I always have to go to church when I work funerals.
I know. So we kind of feel like we get extra holy from that.
Right. But otherwise, definitely traditional.
You want to go to a mass?
I want a mass.
Okay.
I want Ave Maria sung.
Ave Maria will have a soloist. Yep. So it's good because some people have a question about that. Like they haven't gone to church forever. And us as a funeral director are there to encourage them. Like, yes, if you haven't been there, but you are still baptized and you are went to the church, you are still allowed to go to church and have a massive Christian burial. It's something that I'm really happy that you want. Whether you're cremated or in a traditional casket, having your name etched on this earth is so important. And if you're not going to do that, having an obituary, it's something that your legacy or your future or just somebody who comes across your stone or your obituary one day, you're remembered. It's your digital footprint. So I'm here to just let everyone know that their lives matter. And even if you think, I don't need that, you lived. And you deserve to be remembered and celebrated in some way.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
It's more of a celebration of how successful that you made your life.
And especially when it is older. Of course, when we take care of loved ones that pass young, it's never easy. And you never can find the right words. And it doesn't make sense. And people question God. And if there is a God, how could they let this happen? But we just need to bring faith and peace and strength to one another coming together. So a few questions about the funeral in general, too. Something that we would add at the end of the obituary. Memorial contributions. What is something that you feel your heart would want if any monetary donations would go in your name?
St. Jude's.
Yes, you have been a St. Jude's
I donate to St. Jude, and we lost,
we lost our cousin.
And St. Jude's really took care of the DeMarco family while they were in Memphis. So definitely St. Jude's.
My cousin, Tyler DeMarco, he passed away young, and we want to give a special thanks to Albany Med that does have a memorial token of him there at the kids unit.
The Tyler DeMarco Foundation.
That is very close to your heart, we definitely would continue that.
Yeah, because he said no kids should go through this, and he wanted all video games in the rooms and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then
so either St. Jude's or the Tyler DeMarco Foundation.
Correct.
If it's still around. My gosh, we got like 90% done right now.
Woo!
So I guess that's really learning about life, plugging what your wishes are, and we also know you too. So some answers will come naturally, but those that don't have these conversations or don't have it written down somewhere for the funeral home to help guide the family, it makes it so hard.
Yeah, I encourage, write down your thoughts. Send it to your funeral director so we can put it in the file.
We have an online base where you can start your submission and also ask us questions because we're an open resource too. We don't want people just to come to us if they want us. There's a lot of people who are out of town that they're going to be going to a Florida funeral home because that's where they're from. But what happens if I die here? We're here to answer those questions, but also for those families that would like to use us or just want to learn more about our firm, we hand out booklets too. These booklets have all the information about our firm, about funeral planning, also has about the history of why we have funerals, because if you're questioning, I don't want to do anything, maybe reading this could change your opinion, or at least you're educated so you can make a well-educated decision on what you want to do. A lot of the questions I asked my mom can be found in the back of the booklet here. Vital information we would need for the death certificate. Things that we would need to know in advance on should we prepare a body for embalming or not. Reminding the family about clothing, pallbearer names, eyeglasses or not. I think that was a big question when Mimi passed away. Do we put her glasses on or not?
I know.
And we didn't put them on. These little details, let me tell you, it just didn't look like her. Community organizations or clubs that you participated in. Your music that you want at the church, Do you want On Eagle's Wings? You just said Ave Maria, so you already answered. Fondest memories, greatest inspirations in my life. If I could live my life over again, I would change. Wow, this book is actually deep. We didn't even go that deep in conversation. But yes, cemetery instructions and things you want your family to remember me. This thing is so detailed, and also things you can add to ask your funeral director or make notes for your family. We're here to cultivate and make sure it's as personalized as you. So if you would like this booklet, feel free to message us in the show notes. Reach us at glenvillefuneralhome.com. We have an email there. We have a submission button where you can start the pre-planning, or just message me at Buried in Conversation on Instagram and I will get this out to you. So this is a great way for people to start the planning process. But also, as my guest last week, Katie Manning Hilton, brought up, around the Thanksgiving dinner table, they put out the record button on their phone, or they put their phone in the corner and start recording the conversations at dinner. This is just mom and two daughters, having a conversation of life.
That's brilliant.
Now we can have this forever as a keepsake, and I get to learn more about my amazing mom and cherish this forever. Final question. What is your catchphrase of life?
Woof.
Yes! I was hoping you were going to say that. Woof. Because we kind of are the Kardashians of
It's always
Capital Region. Woof. We started woof before Kim Kardashian. And that is how we will close today's episode.
DeMarco Girls.
Thank you so much for being here, Mom and T. I love you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us.
Today's serious business lesson, brought to you by the Palette community, is to expect the unexpected. As a funeral director, I am faced with a job title that is 24/7, where I'm on call. And if I get a call and I am in the middle of a shower, I got to get out of the shower and get to the call. If I'm in the middle of dinner and I'm just about to cut into my filet mignon, I got to call the server over and be like, we got to wrap this up. Also, I'm a mom. I just saw something on Facebook about what it means to be a mom. You are in the joyous time of your life with your little ones, they're toddlers, but you also wake up every day as a servant. And little ones are asking you, Mom, get me this, get me that. You have to be adaptable in life in general. But as a funeral director, it really emphasizes on my life that I have to be prepared at all times. Yes, I have my days off, and those are the best days for my mental health, which we all need as business people. But as a funeral director, when I'm on those days of calls, I got to be ready. So I got this vehicle called a mom funeral director vehicle. It's a mess. And in there I have my gloves, my duct tape, all my serial killer things. But also I got my snacks for my kids. I got extra swim diapers, extra change of clothes. I got everything. You need a Band-Aid? I got it. You need some Red Bull? I got it. So my car is a walking machine because I never know what's next. It does help me be flexible because sometimes I'm on my way home from Schenectady to Malta and I get a death call and I got to be ready to switch out my sneakers to my shoes. So I always try to emphasize in people to be prepared and be flexible. Another thing, being a mom and a business owner has helped me with is using my time correctly. My iPhone, I would freak out because my memories are all there. My videos, my photos of my kids, my family. But also, almost the same level of anxiety if I lost it, my calendar. I love just putting in what I have to do today. And the important ones, they're going to stay there and I have to get them done today. But Some things can be moved to tomorrow. Some things can be moved to next week because I have to find the balance, because I also have to find time for my mental health and my family. So even though I do consider myself a workaholic, I do need to know what I can accomplish and what I need to accomplish, but what can be moved aside. So that is a very important lesson that I hope you can take, is find the balance and know that work can be saved for tomorrow. Life cannot. You never know. I want you to remember that this is a job and it's an important job, but you also have to know that we're humans and we're living too. So find the time for yourself and the memories. And work, if it's not urgent, can be moved for tomorrow. This segment is brought to you by Saratoga Living Magazine After Hours. Guys, it's summer and Saratoga is booming. There is so much going on. I am going to need to start a GoFundMe to get a babysitter to watch my daughter. That's not right. I guess I should just pay maybe once a week then for the babysitter. And then all the other family-friendly events that Saratoga Living promotes, I'll go to those. My daughter loves the Saratoga Living events. They have a full range of things for adult only, from their single nights to their family-friendly events, whether that's at the racetrack or downtown making paper-mache hats. They are so creative with all their events, and they are in the known. So if you are not signed up for the Insiders Club right now, I highly recommend you going to Saratoga Living's magazine and signing up. But also subscribe to the After Hours, where you will find everything going on in Saratoga. Giddy up. We'll see you there. I hope today's episode showed you how important this conversation is to have. And it doesn't have to be dark. Our parents lived a whole life before us with their own dreams and aspirations. And they too are living life for the first time. I encourage you to take down notes, or even better, record them next time you see them. Make it an event. Bring out the wine. It doesn't have to be scary. This is life, and this is love. Today, we planned 95% of my mom's funeral. I can't believe it either. The rest is signatures and putting dates and times together. Today, we prepared our hearts. So when my beautiful, fun, fabulous mother dies, I can begin the grieving process easier and not be thrown 101 questions, not knowing where to begin. And then my sister and I can be together and hold each other, as that is all my mom ever wants. With love and peace, this is Buried in Conversation with Brittany DeMarco Furman. I'll see you next week for our final episode.
Thank you for listening to this podcast. And if you want to connect with me, slide into my DMs on Instagram. My handle is Catherine Hover.